My message is clear. Don't harm my city. Don't harm my state. Otherwise, you've got to go through me.
She came after me. They're coming after the Attorney General. They're coming after a candidate for mayor. So the question is, when will Pam Bondi stop politicizing the Department of Justice and just do their jobs? There are a lot of people out there who are committing crimes.
We have filed charges against the state of New York. We have filed charges against Kathy Hochul. We have filed charges against Letitia James. This is a new DOJ, and we are taking steps to protect Americans, American citizens.
Joining me now for more on this, the man who's uncovered it all, forensic accountant Sam Antar. Sam, good to see you
tonight.
Thank
you for having me on.
Yeah, this funneling of the money here. Go ahead.
The triangle,
yes.
The triangulation.
Yes.
Well, let's start in February 2023.
Okay.
Actually, it's 2022.
Okay, back it up one more. Yeah.
Anyway. There's a contract that's made between the Attorney General's office and Davis Polk.
Okay.
It's approximately $325,000.
Great.
And in the meantime, Davis Polk is getting all kinds of money, $7 million from various government agencies, but this contract is dormant.
Right. That's what I saw. Nothing was going on with it.
Right. Then Hochul's husband, William Hochul, joins the firm
Davis
on
Polk.
January 2nd, 2024.
Okay.
Right? The contract expires the end of the month of January, about 29 days later, 30 days later. The contract is then recorded, okay, on March 17th, which is approximately 400 plus days after the contract was entered into. In other words, it was recorded and approved. It's kind of like it didn't exist until it existed.
Until it comes in.
Right. Now the contract gets extended because Hochul is there, William Hochul is there.
Bill Hochul comes in.
Right. And all of a sudden, money starts flowing from the Attorney General's account 454 days after the contract was initiated. The money starts flowing in $483,000, give or take.
Okay.
Now.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. Then we got to fast forward. Okay. The money's there. It's flowing to William Hochul's law firm, Davis Polk. Then Tish James starts getting into trouble. You know, the U.S. Attorney's Office, the FBI, the
things you helped expose.
Things I helped expose.
Yes. Okay. It's got a lot of traffic.
Right. So around May, there was an announcement that the FBI was investigating. This is after it was already referred to the DOJ, and there's also an announcement of a grand jury proceeding. On that same day, Tish James gets a $10 million allowance from the state of New York for a criminal defense. Now, listen, I was a criminal. I'm not let's put it this way. The pieces, when you put them together, there's something very dirty there. There's something very, very corrupt there.
So you're saying it looks fishy?
It is fishy. It doesn't look fishy.
Kidding.
It is fishy.
Yes, it is fishy. So they get the $483,000. The money is coming into the law firm that Bill Hochul is at, okay, from Tish James's office. Tish James gets in trouble with the work you exposed.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, here comes this giant thing in the budget, $10 million for Tish James to defend herself.
One back scratches the other. The problem in New York is that we have a corrupt one-party state.
Okay.
I'm a Democrat, and I don't like what's happening.
So what has to happen here?
We keep on looking at the same things over and over again, things we might have missed, but also we expand out the scope. Right now, I'm looking into Hochul's dealings with Tish James.
Okay. Keep at it.
Thank you.
Kind of just, you know, politicians being dirty politicians. Hochul, who signed legislation forcing fossil fuel companies to pay $75 billion for carbon emissions, has now spent $178,000 in taxpayer funds to go travel around on a private jet. But it turns out New York politicians, they're not just spending the taxpayer dollars, they're also getting rich using taxpayer dollars. The Office of New York Attorney General Letitia James has paid $483,000 in contracts to a law firm called Davis Polk, starting in April of last year. Coincidentally, though, those payments began just 4 months after William Hochul was hired by the company. William Hochul, obviously know what the last name is the husband of Kathy Hochul. So fast forward to April of this year, Letitia James is under investigation from the DOJ for falsifying documents, saying she owed less property than she actually does as a way to secure lower interest rates. At the same time, James allegedly has been saying that she legally lives at a property in Virginia as a way to secure a better mortgage. Once this investigation was launched, corrupt Kathy Hochul knew it was time to return the favor for that $483,000 sent to her husband's employer. So last month, she passed a new budget, and it includes $10 million in legal funds for defense funds for Letitia James, paid for by New York taxpayers. Hochul claims New York Democrats are being targeted by Pam Bondi in the Department of Justice here. I think the better question for Kathy Hochul is when will New York Democrats stop stealing from the American taxpayer? And also, we've already seen what Democrats used the DOJ for, and that, of course, was prosecuting President Trump while on his way to a second term.
Sam Antar, he's bringing more allegations, y'all. This time, he's saying how Letitia James paid the governor's husband's law firm and got a $10 million legal shield in return. Now, y'all may remember that the legislature of the state of New York included in their budget a $10 million set aside for any state officials that are targeted by legal action. Now, you would think that this would have to do with legal action that has to do maybe with your official position or your official capacity, right? But apparently, they're going to allow Letitia James to use this $10 million of public funds to defend against private, not public, but private criminal allegations and accusations, y'all. That's what it's looking like. And here Antar says that there may have been some kind of quid pro quo involved. Let's take a look. Antar says that the records show for 14 months, David Polk, now employer of William Hochul, had a dormant $325,000 contract with James's office. Zero in payments and nothing moved. Then in January 2024, Governor Hochul's husband joined Davis Polk's white-collar defense unit. 1 month later, the expired contract was filed or approved. 401 days after it began. 37 days after it expired. By April 30th, 2024, the payments began. $231,000 first payment. $483,404 total by June 2025 from James's office alone. So you're talking about from April 30th until June. So that would be about maximum, a month and a half. Talking about over $483,000. How James directed funds to the governor's husband's firm before her $10 million shield. So here Antar says it began with a contract. Let's take a look at it. All right, so this is probably going to be on the thumbnail, y'all, this contract. Antar says it began with a contract on February 1st, 2023. Davis Polk and Wardell, one of Manhattan's most prestigious law firms, entered into a contract with the New York Attorney General's office, valued at $325,000. The duration was 1 year. For 14 months, the Attorney General's office made no payments to Davis Polk under the contract. So no payments went out, and apparently the contract would have expired. This wasn't indicative of broader financial constraints. From October 2021 through December 31st, 2024, Davis Polk had collected $7.12 million from the legislature and assembly alone, all before the governor's husband joined them. All right, y'all, so this is the setup. Davis Polk is this law firm. They're getting paid by the state, which is totally fine, right? They're getting paid by the state to do legal work, which is fine. But at this point, the governor's husband did not work for Davis Polk. So they have this contract with Letitia James's office. It's for $325,000. No payments have gone out and the contract expires. Okay. But during this time frame, the governor's husband does not work for Davis Polk. The Attorney General's office remained the sole holdout. Month after month, no payments flowed to Davis Polk. Okay. So they have this contract. Maybe they don't need their services. And it's for 1 year, $325,000. They being the Attorney General's office, Letitia James's office, they don't do anything with the contract. So they apparently never require or request any work from this law firm. On January 2nd, 2024, William Hochul Jr. walked into Davis Polk's Manhattan offices for his first day of work. The governor's husband had left his position at Delaware North for a prestigious role in the firm's white-collar defense and investigations unit. His compensation was nearly $1 million during 2024. His specialty, defending clients against federal criminal investigations. What happens next raises questions about basic government accountability. State contracting rules require prompt filing of agreements, but this contract sat unfiled for 401 days after it began, including 37 days after the contract had expired. This delay is extraordinary. Most government contracts are filed immediately or within days of execution. When it finally surfaced on March 8, 2024, state records offered no explanation for the delay. According to state comptroller definitions, this transaction approved/file date represents the date the transaction was approved by the comptroller's office or the date that the state authority contract was filed with the office of the state comptroller. So this is where it gets fishy, y'all. After 14 months without any payments, the Attorney General's office finally issued the first payment to Davis Polk, $231,644, 4 months after William Hochul joined Davis Polk. This was the beginning. Over the following months, payments continued to flow, bringing the grand total to $483,404. The firm that had received no payments from the Attorney General's office for over a year was suddenly receiving substantial funds from that office. James was establishing a financial relationship. This is the claim, right? This was the claim that James was establishing a financial relationship that benefited the governor's family. All right, y'all. Now, this seems to be where, so now, y'all, I'm not going to read this whole thing because it is quite long, right? But it seems to be that here Antar is making a bit of a I scratch your back, you scratch my back, right? We had this contract that was open with Davis Polk. We didn't use it. We didn't need it. $325,000 just sat there dormant. We didn't do anything. Oh, now the governor's husband works there. Y'all, let's find something for them to do. Let's get that money in their hands now, right? That's going to benefit the governor's family because it benefits her husband. That's the case that Antar is making here, okay? And what happens when, on the flip side, a year later, Letitia James is facing an investigation, a criminal investigation, no less, and she's going to have substantial legal expenditures out of her personal, y'all, her personal pocketbook. Well, here we have this $10 million provision put into the state budget, which Letitia James can then presumably get her grubbies on, right? And say, oh, okay, well, they're only coming after me because of my official capacity. So let me get my grubbies on that 10 million so that I can pay for my defense. That's the picture that's being painted here, y'all. Now, again, this is all new information. Sam Antar, this guy is, I wouldn't want to be on his bad side. Let's just put it like that.
That's all for today. Thank you. If you want global news to keep you up to date on any new developments, please subscribe our channel and forward our content with your friends on social media and email. Thank you very much for keep supporting me. Stay safe, be blessed. Namaste.
Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.